Welcome back to the seventh grade mustache. On today's episode, we'll be speaking about workplace blackness, blackness in the workplace. This is a topic that many of you have a lot of experience with. The vector we will enter related to how you have been challenged on your blackness, the level of your blackness by your employer or other people, your coworkers on your blackness, your levels of blackness. I want to start with a particular story that I was told by a friend of mine where she was asked by one of her black female coworkers about how to speak to another black female about the way her hair looks at work. And this,
Ooh,
yeah, listen now, this is one of those powder keg issues that can go sideways real quick because you're dealing with black women and beauty standards. Now, here's the thing. The the employee that approached her, the black woman that approached her, was asking her for advice about how to deal with another black woman and her natural quote unquote hairstyle. So she, what I'll say is, okay, we'll call the girl asking for advice as the conformist, and the girl who loves her natural look, the nonconformist. And she was asked, the conformist was asking my homegirl how she should approach the nonconformist about how to talk to her about talking to her about her hair, how to talk to her about, the etiquette of workplace hair. Now, this is one of those things that people can like really get loud or get sensitive or defensive about, and rightfully so, because my opinion is that there was no need to talk to this woman about her hair, because what I found through this conversation was that the nonconformist was a model employee. She sits at her desk, does her job, completes her work, and does it all on time with no problem.
what
The
what makes the conversation complicated is I've witnessed this. Please forgive me. I don't want to offend anybody, but
But
if I
hold on,
do, I will.
hold it. But let me give you more details though first. So the thing is that the white employees in this office do not look her in the face when they talk to her because they're
The
always
nonconformist.
the nonconformists. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So they
yeah.
won't look the nonconformists in the eye because they're intimidated or they're just ignorant as people. And here's the thing: if her hair is bothering you, that's really an issue with you. Because as it was explained to me, this nonconformist, her hair was nothing radical. It was simply a fro that has twists, right?
But see, but that's the whole problem with white supremacy. The fact that they feel that they have the right to say something. You have the right to say something, but why would you? That's rude. When you talk about natural hair, I've worked in several businesses, offices, whatever. I remember whenever you see a white woman and she'll have terrible split ends, hair looks like shit all the time, and she's natural, and no one ever says anything to her. But if a black woman decides to go natural, it's a topic, and like you said, people won't look her in the face. It's like a woman with big tits. They stare at her tits like, oh, they don't want to make eye contact, or they do want to make eye contact. But the uncomfortableness is with the person who's viewing. It's not with the person that's walking around being themselves. And the idea that your hair is going to stop you from getting ahead, that's where the problem. That's where
Yes.
yes, that's where the problem falls in. If you honestly believe that my hair makes a difference in my ability to work, but then they'll say stuff like, well, it doesn't send the right image to our clients, or we wouldn't be able to send you out in public, things like that. And I'm like, oh, that's terrible. But that's what you encounter.
But here's the thing. But here's
And
the thing. The nonconformist was an excellent employee, is an excellent employee, and she does everything that's required of her, and turns her work in on time with no problem. Is not a rebel rouser, doesn't go around starting shit. She just does her job and keeps to herself. The problem is the people that have an issue with her, they have internal issues. They have colonialism, Willie Lynch issues, the black people. The white
But
people
the white
the
people do
the
too.
white people have colonizer issues and a superiority complex where they feel like this black woman should conform to their Eurocentric beauty standards, right? In
But
my
well,
perception, hold up, my perception is that the nonconformist is perfectly within bounds wearing that hairstyle to work. It is
but
is
this goes
not
back to what you were
unprofessional at
saying
all.
before. You made a very deep statement about 3 shows ago, and every once in a while I'll bring it up. When you said it feels good not to have to go to job interviews. So do you know why you said that?
Yep.
When you own your own business, you set the paradigm, you set the standards. And so when you work for somebody else, even if that person is not your boss, but you still work in a white business, they have the gall to think that, okay, we got another one, that kind of thing. And or I saw an episode on TV about this, and then it plays out in reality. And that's my life is not a sitcom. My hair is not a subject. I'll give you an example. Like, people always say, don't talk religion at work, don't talk politics at work. So that's cool. So you talk sports. And I remember on The Ultimate Fighter, do you remember when Rampage and who did he fight? Uh, uh,
Oh, Rampage. He fought Rashad Evans.
Rashad Evans.
Black on
Sugar
black
Rashad
crime.
Evans. Yeah. Now, who did all the white people want to win, and who did all the black people want to win?
All the white people wanted Quentin and Rampage Jackson to win.
No, all the white people wanted Rashad Evans to win. And you know what all these
No,
white people
no, no,
told
no,
me?
no, no, no. See, I see. My experience was the other way around. All the white
Uh,
folks wanted Rampage to win because it seemed like he
Okay,
had all the white fans. Whereas, so look, look, hold, stop. If you go back and you watch that whole episode again, Rashad was like the one who had the most swag, who was the coolest, who was the one that
see,
was most in touch with his Afrocentricity.
no, no, no. Let me tell you how it went down. Because we're in different cities. So here, all everybody talked about Quentin, and they were like, I want Quentin. He's a loudmouth. He needs his ass kicked. And the whole time, the person who did the most talking was Rashad. Quentin was working with his people, having them work out. It was crazy as hell because everything people said was the exact same thing they said about Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier and stuff like that.
Oh
They were
wow.
like, yeah, and
I
so
don't
so
like him.
yeah,
He's a loudmouth.
bingo. And I'm like, well, the person doing all the talking is actually Rashad. Rashad was the one slinging insults, and Quentin like, man, you need to chill with that. But we can decide this in the ring. And it's funny to me because that's it. They described he's a loudmouth. He's talking shit. He always talks shit. He
Right.
talks shit. He
And
talks shit everybody.
so that guy, whoever he is, the black athlete that's flashy and flamboyant, always seems to rub white people the wrong way. Now I'm
Going
talking,
back to Jack
but
Johnson.
hold on,
That goes back to
but hold
Jack
on. Let
Johnson.
me clear this up. White people who have a superiority complex, cool white people tend to not have a problem with that and may actually like it. But I'm talking about the white people with a superiority complex. They tend to hate black athletes. Okay. For example, it's the whole idea with the power structure of the NFL that does not want brothers to celebrate. They won't let football players celebrate when they score a touchdown. And you notice how it was tolerated for a while, and then these celebrations got more and more elaborate, and the power structure within the NFL came down on it and ruled that you can't do that. You can't celebrate. Why? Because actually what it does, it amplifies team spirit. Because in your face, bitch, in your face, man. Listen, that's a male thing. That's not a black or white thing. That
It's called
is
it's peacocking.
that's
You are showing
testosterone.
out.
That's
Yeah,
that's showing testosterone. So
you're
men
strutting.
actually like that no matter who they are. If that's your team and your guy, your teammate, the player on your team just scored real hard on like four opposing team players, then yeah, everybody's celebrating, everybody's happy. But what it is, it's a reflex. It's a superiority complex reflex showing that, oh, no, 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 don't get out of line, boy. You doing too much showboating. We don't like that. That is a reflex of colonialism.
But like I said again, something else we talked about in the previous episode is the fact that that goes back to Jack Johnson. And whenever Jack Johnson would whoop one of
Yeah.
these white boys, a bunch of niggas got licks, a bunch of brothers got
Yep.
licks. That was to keep you in line. It's the same thing in the workplace.
And then
It's a power
and
that
Muhammad Ali, when Muhammad Ali was loud and flamboyant and he was saying fuck Vietnam, he is the most outspoken black athlete that ever lived because
I,
he did not cross the line. Oh, excuse me. He did not split hairs between politics, activism, and athleticism. They were all the
but,
same
but
thing to him.
but don't forget he was still able to create he created a brand that didn't exist
Hmm.
because that's what we care about nowadays is brand. But his brand was stepping on the line. His brand was, you know, lifting up his people. His brand, which didn't exist before that, was like, look, I'm successful.
And I'm
I
talking
grant
shit.
I'm successful. I back it up, and I'm making money, and I'm doing my job
And I
correctly.
don't give a
I'm
fuck.
and I don't drink alcohol. I don't chase women. I don't. Well, he chased a few women, but you know
But
what I'm
I
saying.
don't give a fuck. That's really
And so,
important. That's because that's dangerous. But the thing is, all of this is relevant to workplace blackness because he was doing that on the job. A
but
lot.
hold it.
Wait.
Wait.
But a lot of black athletes now are so afraid to play that card, to be as flamboyant as Ali. Look at LeBron James, Mr. Boule tattoo on the chest. All right, for those of you that don't know about it, go listen to the Boule episode and go look at the photographs of this clown with a Boule tattoo on his chest. Okay? This guy who, when the Dallas Mavericks management was getting flack for supporting the protesters in Hong Kong months ago in China, in Hong Kong, and the Chinese government, which is always trying to stifle and silence any
Any kind of protest, any
any
protest.
protest, regarding Hong Kong or any protest at all. The Chinese government is always trying to silence us. That when it comes to the NBA, oh, none of these athletes want to speak out, but some of the management did, and actually some of the players did too. But LeBron James, even though he got clowned by the Chinese government and got disrespected by the Chinese government because of their Nike ad where he was playing against a famous Chinese Taoist icon. And he was playing against his Chinese icon and schooling him in his Nike commercial. And because of that, the Chinese government had banned him or any advertisements of LeBron James in China. So then he's like, okay, I'm going to toe the line for China and I'm not going to talk back, even though they commit all these human rights violations. He's like, I'm going to toe the line. So this time, when a members of a NBA organization chose to speak out against China and how they're, stepping on people's rights, he was a company man this time, unlike Ali. And he was more like Joe Frazier, right? Where he was like, no, nah, I'm not going to speak out, and I'm going to take my German Shepherds to Africa and scare these African people.
What makes it complicated is that everybody bows down to China, not because China has legitimate power. It's because they have such a huge market share
Mm-hmm.
that if you go over to China, you're going to make money whether you mean to or not. So everybody bows down to it. And I don't want to rehash stuff that we talked about in other episodes, but it's very important to understand that this this whole conformist thing, as black people, we deal with it every day. White folks don't have to conform. You can be the craziest white man in the world, the laziest white woman in the world, the nastiest whore in the world. White people will find a niche and be successful at that. Um, Prime example, the Kardashians. Now, I get it, Middle Eastern, but they're white. So the mom is a whore who slept with everybody. You know what I'm saying? And she taught her daughters how to be whores, and they're making money doing. These people are famous for being famous. The daughter did a sex tape, came out at the same time as a reality show, and next thing you know, people want to be like that. That's craziness. But if you, as black people, if you want to show a reality show, you gotta fight. You gotta fit a stereotype. There are no intelligent black reality shows out there, and if there are, I'm hard pressed to find them. And so what I'm saying is, for you to be black and successful, you don't have to conform. That's not what I'm saying. But in many cases, it's necessary to conform to get the kind of whatever you want, and that's what happens when you're black on the job. If you're black on the job, well, Ren, you need to pull your pants up. I'm like, what? My pants are all wet. What? Let me tell you what I went through. So this is Duct Tape Chronicles. So I was working. I'm at work. I have jeans on. It's the weekend, and my boss tells me, hey,
Now,
your jeans are baggy.
please let everybody know that you're in an office environment.
Yeah. I am, but it's the weekend. But yes, I'm in an office environment. And she tells me my jeans are too baggy. And I'm like, well, man, my jeans aren't baggy at all. Truth of the matter is, my jeans are snug as heck. What you guys don't understand is that as black people, I can't wear the kind of jeans she wants me to. They'll cut me in half. You understand? So I have a large crotch of these jeans because I'm a large person. And I'm like, so then you feel guilty. Then you feel like, well, maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe I'm like, no, I got the same education. I dress just like everybody else in here. And the thing is, there are people who are dressed worse than me, who are whiter than me, but nobody says anything
Why
to
do you
them.
think she singled you out?
Oh, she couldn't stand it. She called herself trying to groom me, but the thing was, I'm the one who trained her. It's a lot,
Oh,
lot of politics involved.
wow.
Yeah. So I trained her on everything in the department, and she's my boss. And so then all of a sudden she decides, well, I'm gonna groom you. Like, no, I'm fine, but I got here without you. Why would I need you to get any further?
And matter of fact,
And
I hired you.
no, I didn't hire her. I trained her. But
Okay,
the
but
whole
you
issue
trained
is
her.
this:
Same thing.
is that white people will say that kind of stuff to you, but not say it to another white person. Or if that's the case, if you were going to groom me, why would you groom your own daughter? Because you know what I'm saying. Like, she's here, she's not doing a good job, she's a piece of crap. So it's really difficult that you think that, okay, maybe I am doing something wrong because I'm not as successful as everybody else, or maybe I am doing something wrong because I'm not as successful as I want to be. But the fact is that you understand the deck is stacked against you, and you can do everything right and still not be successful. But it's going to cause self-esteem issues, have you question yourself. And I always use this example. You can bake a cake, you can follow the recipe, and the cake will still fall. It could be humidity, it could be any other, but you follow the recipe to a T. Well, that's what happens when you're black in business or black in the workplace. Is you can do everything right. I don't. You know this to be true. I don't drink. I don't smoke weed. I don't have any felonies on my record. I do have a college degree. Been at my company
You
for
do
23
drink.
years.
You do drink. You drink socially.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, but I do not drink around people at work. I don't drink at work, and if I drink,
And
it's
you've
completely
traveled with your
around you.
colleagues out of state to like Vegas and stuff like that.
Yeah, when I'm in Vegas on business, I do not drink.
Hmm.
But so it messes with you when you do all this stuff right, and and then you still don't have the same success that somebody else has.
Because
I
okay,
know.
hold on. Let me say something about that. The thing is that like when you are black, and this is not just at work. This is in the United States of America. No matter where you go, you are held to a different standard. You are under a microscope all the time, but especially in the workplace, because there are people that are waiting for you to mess up so they can then say, aha, I told you,
I told
I
you,
told
I
you,
told you.
this is how they are, this is what they do. So,
But hold on,
wait,
but
wait, wait, wait,
Roscoe,
wait, 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 wait. The thing is this. The thing is this. My father was a black man that was, when he died, he was old enough to go through Jim Crow 3 times. And so he raised me to be a man of dignity. And he said, and he would say on many occasions, you have to walk through life doing the best that you can, not for the white people that are looking at you, but for your family and the people that raised you, because you owe it to them to be the best example of the people that raised you. Not because you're worried about what white people think or what anybody thinks. It's because you owe it to the people who fought for you to live this life, to be the best example of that family.
here's a problem. When we talk about black people in the workplace, I do not want to give the impression that there are no black fuck ups out there
Oh, we have
because
no, 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 no. We about to get to that.
yeah,
We
yeah.
about to
So,
get to
but,
that.
but hold it. Let me give you an example of something that happened to a good friend of mine. He's white, and he was in class, and he's studying for this. He's studying for a position in the company, and they have a training class. And he said, "Well, he's like, Ren, there's a black guy in the class, and he's kind of having difficulties." And I'm like, I said, "I can tell you what happened." And he's like, "You don't know the guy, but how can you?" I'm like, "Trust me, I know what happened. This guy is probably really smart, and he's very successful in everything he does. So what happens is a lot of times people zone out during the training, but he's in a training class where you can't zone out. So he probably missed the first couple of weeks just zoning out. Now he's trying to play catch up, and a lot of times when you're black, you use I shouldn't say it like this, but when you're in business, sometimes for you to be there, you're literally the smartest person in the room. I said he's probably the smartest person in the room under normal circumstances, but now he's studying for a position that you had to pay attention the entire time. You got
He's out of his element.
laws. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, he's just out of his
And
element. Go ahead.
yeah. He's out of a normal element, and I see it all the time. Like when people come to my department, they zone out because they heard the department was easy, and then they realize I don't know how to do this. I, I'm like, yeah, you went to college, but there was no class you took that prepared you for this kind of dispatching role. So you got to pay attention the entire time, take notes. Once you figure it
And
out,
then you also have
then
to
you
interact. You have to interact constantly
have yes, that's deep right
because
there.
number one, when you're interacting, okay, when you're in a situation where you're alien, when you're in an alien environment, you have to interact to show that you are retaining information and that also you can think critically and laterally in this scenario. And that,
But hold on, you were saying retain information, but sometimes the interaction is the job itself,
mhm,
and people don't realize that. They think in their mind that their mind's made up to what this is, what this job is, or what this task is, or what your goal is, and then they get there and find out, oh shit, this is a different thing altogether, and it takes them a while to realize that. Sometimes you still in your own head like, okay, I thought it was this way, and you don't want to admit that it was something different.
but see, the thing is, though, okay, here's the thing. Like when I'm in a classroom situation and I'm learning, and it's like, say, on the job, I'm on stage and I have an audience then, right? So I'm gonna say things that's going to show the instructor that I am absorbing the information, and then also I'm going to show the instructor that I can I can throw it back at them, but I can make everybody laugh at the same time. You know what I mean? So
You
it's good.
controlling the situation.
It's disarming everybody in the room because once you get everybody to laugh, they relax, and then when the tension drops, the creativity flows in everyone because then they're allowed to like look at the situation in different ways as opposed to some dry whiteboard droning from a cyborg.
Look, when people have expectations of you, it's to make themselves feel better. People love to think that, oh, he came from a broken home, or she did this, or she must have a bunch of kids out of
They want
wedlock,
to
or
put you in a box.
yeah, they want to categorize you to make themselves feel better, or because they grew up watching television and the only black people they actually interact with is Bill Cosby on the Cosby Show. So they want to. Oh, I understand what you're going through. I'm like, no, you don't, because I don't understand what I'm going through sometimes. But the fact is this: that you encounter you encounter these things in the workplace, and so not when everybody else can just deal with the job itself, you have to deal with the politics of being black in the workplace. In politics, even when you're dealing with black folks, it's complicated because okay, suppose you become management or you move up to a significant position, and there's another black person above you, and he or she's playing games with you with your career. And you're like, are you trying to make a point? Are you trying to teach me something? What is this? Yeah, I'm teaching you some of the best lessons you learn, or when you're getting whooped or some shit. Like, I'm like, what the? I had somebody go through this, and I'm like, hey man, you need to turn that dude in for ELC violation. He's like, my friend is telling me, no man, that's not right. Uh, Duct tape, I'm not going to turn him in. I said, well, look, trust me, he would not have said that. He would not have used that wording if you were white, because I've seen him interact with white people, and I've never even seen him discipline a white person before. The only person I've ever seen as individual discipline is you, and I think that in itself is a problem. And so my friend goes and talks to some of the white people we work with, and one of them was one of his professors, and she tells him like, "No, I don't think that was a problem." I'm like, "Are you crazy?" So you think that okay, I made it, I did everything I'm supposed to do, and I'm still not, I'm not getting where I want to be. So now, do I conform? Do I cut my hair? Do I cut my beard? Do I make my butt cheeks tighter? You know, what do I need to do and you can do all these things. You could sell out and still not make it. So that sellout shit, I'm gonna tell you like this. So I, I'm in the parking garage. Um, it's my like third week at work. I'm feeling really good. I made my mama proud. I got my college degree. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, and I'm walking. And white people, there's a white person in the parking garage. They see me, and you know what they do?
Mm.
Boop, boop.
Of course.
They lock their doors. Now, let me explain why that's an issue. Because this white person was having a great day. He or she was walking to the office, felt real good, and didn't even think about locking their door. But when they see me, I'm a nigger. It's niggers about. I'm a crime reminder. I just reminded them that
They
there's
were
black people in
triggered.
this world, and I need to lock my car.
Hmm.
So, do you know how demeaning that is for me? Because I'm like, I'm seeing myself as your equal. I'm not. I'm working at the same place you work. Why would I rob somebody I work with?
I feel sorry for you.
That
Yo,
you need to do that.
I feel sorry for your mother. What'd you say about
I
my
feel
mama?
sorry for your mother.
Listen, the thing is, the fact that those people are triggered in that way, that they are that meek, that they have to lock their car when they see me. Well, that means you're a jellyfish. You know, you're a
Yeah,
spineless jellyfish. That's all that
they'll
means.
say
You're
they'll
soft.
say, hey Roscoe, that wasn't about you. That was about your color.
Hmm.
There's other black people in
Hey,
there.
listen, man. Let's talk about the fuck ups. Let's get down. Okay, let's talk about the fuck ups. So I was on a job once, and there was this guy. He was the cooniest of coons I've ever seen in my life. Now, this guy was a black man, an old black man. Let me set up the story for you. So one day I'm on the job, and one of my coworkers come to me. This brother, he comes to me. He's like, "Do you understand where XXYZ is right now?" And I'm like, "No, where's XXYZ?" He's talking about his supervisor. He said, "Go to the bay door and turn your head and look to the right." So I went to this door and I looked out, and this coon was washing the owner, this white man, his car, washing his car, right? And I just shook my head and I was like,
Hold
oh,
it, hold it. Were you working at a car wash?
nope, we weren't working in a car wash at all. This
Just
is
I just had to
this
verify
is an
that. Go
office
ahead.
building. So I'm like, oh Lord. So, I file that away in the coon files, right, in the sellout files, and go on about my day. Next day, this guy, same coon, was caught shining this country. ass, prejudiced white dudes boots. I'll say again for emphasis, boots. This white dude came out of the office. He was high stepping like he had some brand new Jordans on. It was black cowboy boots. And this coon was back there shining these things like his life depended on them, right? And I saw that shit. All of the black people saw that shit, and we were just dismayed. It was in we
Disgusted.
disgusted in disbelief. And I'm like, this guy, I'm done with his ass. So then, flash forward another week. So it's myself and another employee are leaving, and we tell our relief that hey, we're done. This is what we finished for today. We're headed out. So we leave, right? And we clock out, we go home. The next morning, first thing, he called me and this brother into the office. Now this guy, my coworker, well educated, he played professional basketball in Spain and like Croatia. Well traveled guy, speaks different languages, and you can tell he came from a good home. He was raised well, all that stuff. He was Nigerian actually. And he calls us into the office. This coon proceeds to tell us we were thieves, we were stealing time,
Dude.
we were down low, we down low, low down, dirty
Yeah.
criminals, all that stuff. Low down, dirty criminals, the whole nine. I let him talk. I sat there. My posture was I was sitting back in my chair listening to all this. Just nodding my head. And then he asked us, he's like, do you have anything to say in your defense? I sat up. I sat up on my ischium bones. My legs were straight. They were bent, so I was like, my feet were flat on the floor. And I said to him, I said, listen to me. Listen to me real good. Because I'm going to say this one time. I come from good people. I come from a mother and a father. And both of those people worked very hard every day to put food on the table and make sure we were well educated. And they raised good people, all my brothers and sisters. I have no reason at all to steal any of your chicken shit time that you think I'm stealing. How dare you? How dare you accuse me and this man of stealing anything? Nobody stole anything. As a matter of fact, you are in the wrong. And I proceeded to lambaste his monkey ass in front of my coworker, right? And as I was saying this, the spirit was stirring in me. I was giving a sermon to this old ass coon, right? Because I could not hold it in anymore. My voice was going up. I was still sitting in the same posture, but my spirit flooded the room, right? I finished what I had to say. My coworker didn't have nothing to say. He just said, "Here, one a few things to add in." After I was finished, and that was it. We walked out the room. Duct tape. When I walked out this room, all of the old white ladies, the secretaries, they were standing up out of their chairs at their doors, looking at me when I walked out, nodding their head in approval. Dude, there was this white dude, this old white dude. I think he's like a maintenance man. He was in the next office. He was trying to look like he was. This is an empty office. He was. I tried to look like he was fixing on some shit. And you know how when you see a person and they look like they bullshitting, but they really
Yeah,
bad
they fake
actors,
working. They
fake
fake
working.
working.
He looked at me giggling, right? Yo, I walked out, continued working, right? My manager, my immediate supervisor, came to me and gave me some dap. This is a white dude from Minnesota, big old like football player from like 50 years ago, right? He dapped me up. He was like, "Good job." I'm like, "For what? What you talking about?" He was like, "I heard about what you did." No, I just started laughing. He was like, "That guy's an asshole. Everybody hates him." And like, we were so happy you did that. And I'm like, "Listen, man, like, Thank you, but I'm not about to let him assassinate my character and assault my parents by accusing me of such a thing. He's like, you're right. He's like, you're not a thief and you didn't steal anything. That guy's just an asshole and he's always trying to please the owner. Dude, that coon son of a bitch, he went on and did more coon type shit. But when I saw who he really was and then he tried to attack my character, brother, you just picked the wrong fight. This is not going to go good for you, especially when I am not in the wrong. Dude, you fucked up. You know you fucked up, right? You know you fucked up.
Look, what it is that is one of the currencies people spend to get ahead. When you're a minority in the workplace, men and women, people will snitch. And so that's another thing. There's nothing wrong with telling on somebody if there's a legitimate, like, if there's an axe murderer next door and he's assaulting somebody, yeah, turn him in. But if we doing a drug deal, if we robbing, I ain't gonna speak on nothing else that happened. Well, that's how it is. This dude is snitching. We're all employees working for the man, and he thinks by snitching he's gonna get ahead. He thinks by turning you in, or he thinks by berating you in front of somebody else, he's gonna earn points with them. He picked the wrong person. And like I said, in the workplace, there's always somebody trying to turn somebody else in. Like, oh man, duct tape came in 15 seconds late. And you like, oh, for real? That's what we're gonna do.
Let me give you another.
I don't participate.
Let me give you another story. Let me give you another story about a dumbass in the workplace. New guy, he come in and he got herbal cologne on, and it's super loud, and I'm like, bruh, handle that shit right now. I said, you need to do something about that right now. I don't need to be telling you, but I am telling you because I don't want them coming down on you. That's me looking out for you, right? Like, I'm telling this guy, bruh, tighten it up. Stop walking around smelling like weed in a place where you the only person smelling like weed. Don't act like nobody can smell that shit.
Kush is my cologne. This shit is hella strong,
bro. But hold on. This speaks to as a level of immaturity. But what it does, it reinforces black stereotypes. This is the wrong kind of blackness in the workplace. And then people say, well, why do you say that? Why do you care about what happens to this guy? Because I give a fuck about what happened to other black people in the workplace. I don't want them to fail. I want them to excel. I want them to do well because, like it or not, we come from a tribal mentality. And that is not a bad thing. It's not bad for blackness to be a tribal mentality. For me to look out for you, say, hey, bro, like they coming down hard on people today and motherfuckers are getting fired. Go out to your car and fucking put some cologne on. Like cover that shit up. Start chewing some gum. Put some Visine in your fucking eyes. Georgia is not close to being a recreational state. So don't be stupid. Yeah.
But hold on, Roscoe. So if you're a white person listening to this conversation, you're going to be like, well, what's the difference between the two hairstyles and somebody telling the nonconformist young lady in the beginning that you need to change your hairstyle if you want to get ahead, and you giving this young man advice who smells like Mary Jane. The difference.
There's a difference. There's a big difference.
Yeah, there's a huge difference. One is not the other person is an ideal employee, and they're not affecting anything or anybody.
And the other one can have police called on you.
Yeah, they're both about image. But the other thing is, as a black person, sometimes you want to stop those stereotypes. See, here's a stereotype I ran into as an adult black male. When you move up in a company, there is a stereotype that you're going to sleep with everybody. So because another manager before me slept with all these women in the department, when I finally got in that position, they assumed I was going to sleep with everyone in the department, and I didn't. In fact, I was accused 3 different times of sleeping with different. I'm like, what do you?
But hold on. How many times were white girl thirst traps involved in these scenarios?
No. These were all black women that I was accused of sleeping with that I did not sleep with. So this is not what Hold it. There was a thirst trap, and I'll tell you about that. That's another
All
story.
right.
But
All right. Don't
but
name nothing. Don't name nobody.
yeah, yeah. And so it's really frustrating because what you got to understand is that as a black person, when you fuck up for everybody. Now, if a white man does something wrong, he doesn't speak for every white man. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying? Yeah, you can have all these white men they get caught having sex in the building, get caught having sex in the parking garage, get caught smoking weed and doing cocaine on a
But
lunch
see, but
break.
white people do
But
shit. They free agents
exactly that's where I'm going with this. When they fuck up, they don't fuck up for the entire race. They
because
just
they're
fuck up for
held to a
themselves.
different standard. They're
But as a
considered
black,
solo.
yes, but as a black person, if you do that shit, then oh man,
Dude, you are
see,
you are on the
we should
campaign
never have that.
trail. You are on the campaign trail, and this is your Twitter feed.
And we should never have gave him a chance. You see what see what he did? He embarrassed the entire company, and you're like, I ain't did none of those things, And you,
But see, hold
I've
on, hold on, hold on,
witnessed.
hold on, hold on. But then there's other black people looking at you like, what you doing? And the thing is, that's not a bad thing because actually we prop each other up and help each other by doing that, by pushing each other to be the best version of ourselves. In that way, at least the most, like my father was saying, the most dignified version of yourself,
Of yourself.
of your family,
But,
a
but now,
representation of your family.
here's the other problem. On the flip side, you got black folks that think they're looking out for you, and they're completely disrespectful, completely wrong. Oh, I understand what you're going through. It's not your fault. What are you talking about?
Hmm.
What you're saying is not true. I gave you a situation where I got a long text message, and somebody's like, "Well, it's not your fault." Yes, it is. I take full responsibility for all this. My shoulders are broad. I can handle it all. But don't sit here and belittle me as if I didn't know what I was doing or I don't understand what you're saying. So that's the other part that you have to deal with. People will talk shit in your face as if you're not smart enough to comprehend, and I'm like, oh, really? Okay. I see how this is going.
Hmm.
So then you got to verbally whoop their ass and put them in their place and explain to them that I'm the smartest one in the room. I have a full understanding and comprehension of everything that's going on, and let me explain to you why you don't know what's going on.
Mm.
And when you do that, then all of a sudden you're grandstanding. No, I'm adulting. I'm adulting on another level. And what nobody wants to admit is that you witness these. Fortunately, you live in a city where you have a lot of successful black people. But the other problem with that is that everybody wants to give advice, but they don't ever want to show you how they got there.
Hmm.
You need to pull your pants up and
Oh,
not do this.
yeah.
Well, how'd you get there? Instead of they
Don't you
don't even
worry about
ignore
it.
you.
Why are you in my business?
Yeah, they don't even acknowledge you ask a question. You know what I'm saying? They just keep going on like, oh man, maybe you didn't hear me. How'd you get where you got? So the whole issue is that nobody wants to show you how to get there, but they want to give you that little bit of bullshit advice. Well, you need to start your own business.
What
Well,
that
hell,
is, what that is, I saw that a lot in the film industry when I
yeah,
first got into it, and what you call that is a mercenary mindset, meaning like I'm a killer for hire. I kill, I don't teach, and you saw that with like guys that you would ask for help on how to do something, and nobody wanted to help you, right? So then you had to learn stuff on your own. But so then what I would do, I would teach young people the lessons that I learned, so that they would not be in a situation with this vacuum of information or this lack of information. So I'm like, all right, well, listen, I came up around assholes, so let me teach you stuff, to make you better at what you're doing or help you to see things, in a different way. So the thing is that like what you're talking about, how there's a lot of what else? Okay, regionally in different cities, um, there are brothers that you might would approach that you think would be generous with information or networking, that are not interested in helping you at all. Have no, they're all about self preservation. They're very selfish and they don't want to help at all. And I've come up.
but it's complicated. Do they not want the competition? Are they trying to get rid of competition, or do they like being the only person up there?
The
See,
first person I came across this on a professional level was Kid Capri. Fuck him. Fuck Kid Capri. I'll say that. I don't give a shit.
no
Yeah.
names. I thought you said no
Yeah,
names.
you know
No
what?
names.
I'll put it out there. I don't care. So the thing is that like this was back in the day, and I had approached him with a demo because my homeboys are just the biggest pussies. They ain't have no nuts. They talked all this big shit on the microphone, but when it came to like getting in somebody's face or approaching like somebody with influence, I did it because these motherfuckers wouldn't do it. So I was like, well, fuck y'all, I'm gonna go do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do it. So I approached him, you know what I'm saying? And like I asked him, hey, could you pass this along to somebody, that can actually, that's maybe an A&R or somebody who, somebody at a label because, we're looking to get, our music heard. No, no, man. I'm like, all right, dude, go fuck yourself then. So that was my first interaction with a brother that was a gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying? So of course, over time, like that changes, and like gatekeepers, all the gatekeepers are gone now. So we're in this landscape where there's fewer gatekeepers, and the onus is on you. You have to be more productive and creative to get your foot in the door now, because you can sell your skills much easier than it was possible in the past. So there's that. There was a time where black gatekeepers were the worst people to deal with. They were the worst to
Mm.
deal with because they were very exploitive. They chose to use their influence
Hmm.
for personal gain and for to massage their own ego. So there's that angle also.
I think what's different about now is that there's so many different outlets that you have the ability to get your work out there without having to go through a gatekeeper. Whether you create your own market, whether you sell to independent, Netflix, you have. I'm not just talking entertainment. I'm just giving examples. But you got YouTube. You have the ability to do that. I think the biggest issue is that people still want to be discovered, and I hate that kind of mentality.
Hmm.
And so when you look, when you're black in business, the first thing that you should be thinking about is starting your own business or being the business. And it's real difficult for people to get out that mentality from the '80s that were promised that if you go to college, you get a good job and you retire. Well, people don't retire anymore. You got a 401k if you're lucky. People going to college does not guarantee you a good job. And I think that when you're talking about the film industry, that's why they started doing film schools is because the reason you talk, nobody wants to apprentice anybody anymore. Nobody wants to show you the ropes. They either want to use you, make you work for them, and if possible, possible toss you a bone. So that's why you had to go to school. The education system is an industry, and you can't. I hate industries because they're loyal to whatever gets them more customers. So it's not about teaching people; it's about making them dependent on a different industry, and I hate that kind of crap.
So
So
I wanna I wanna go dive deeper into this conversation. I wasn't gonna include this in the conversation because this guy is one of the founders of the Boule, but I am because of some of his literary works are very good, and thought provoking. W.E.B. Du Bois.
yeah,
He often talked and wrote about dual consciousness, and he would talk about how there's the part of the Negro psyche that grapples with colonialism, the remnants of slavery. And then there's the other part that is the subject or the participant of 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 a person who strives within this Eurocentric system. So there's the part of you that's black and has your black upbringing in like your neighborhood and your family and extended family and experiences. And then there's the part of you who just there's your education, and then there's a part of you that exists like in the white world. And
that's deep. Oh man, that's deep. Go ahead.
so this Now within this, and this is like pretty much in every black person, even in Oreos, if you pay attention, even in the sellout people who don't really want to embrace their blackness, you see this. This is there. It's a subtext that's so subconscious that even the most sellout of a person is not aware of this, and you see it manifest in a lot of different ways. And it internally, it's the way you deal with your coworkers, and you deal your excuse me your black coworkers and your white coworkers and your the people that are your the next rung on the ladder up, or the next chain of command up on the chain of command. And it's the way you deal with these people. So the person that I was referring to, this Uncle Tom, that was my supervisor on the job, he was skewed towards self-hatred. Whereas I've worked for some black people on jobs in the South, in the North, that were beautiful people. There was a guy, man, this dude, when I used to work for the federal government, there was this guy I used to work for. If he asked me to jump off a mountain, I'd jump off a fucking mountain. This is like how good of a guy he was. Loved him, man. Loved him. Salt of the earth type of brother. He was from the deep south, like way down in Vidalia onion country in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Good dude. Everybody loved him. He was a really good person. So I've worked for people who know how to lead, and I've worked for people who don't know how to lead. And I bring up these two examples because these are both black men, but one had serious self-hatred, Willie Lynch issues, and the other one did not.
When you deal with the Willie Lynch issue, they look from the point of view is that every other minority is wrong. Every other black person is wrong. Every other Mexican, every other whatever, that
He
they're
used to go
wrong,
hunting.
I'm right.
The Willie Lynch coon guy used to go hunting with white people, and he was like their bird dog. So just to give you a little more, to give you more insight into how coon of a coon he was. That's that guy. He would go hunt boar with these white men. He'd be the only black dude there.
But to him, that was a statement
But
unto
hold up.
itself.
Now, see, he's a country boy, right? Now, the other guy that I told you I would jump off a mountain for, that was a born leader, he was also a country boy. And you see, one had self-hatred issues and the other one did not, speaking to the whole dual conscious thing. Speaking actually more to the Willie Lynch syndrome. But
Well,
go ahead.
this is a complicated conversation because I've seen it in white people also. And one, I hate liberals, I hate conservatives, I hate both. But a guy I work with, super liberal, and doesn't
White
believe
guy?
in religion, doesn't believe in. So I'm sorry, what you say, bro?
The super liberal, was he white or black?
Right, he's white.
Okay. Because we can't have anybody else being another race in this conversation. I'm just bullshitting.
Of course. But one of the things is, like, since he doesn't believe, I don't believe in religion. I'm an atheist. I'm like, so I said, do you believe in heaven and hell? No, I'm an atheist. I'm like, well, that means you're a nihilist. At least know which ist you are if you're going to be trying to, claim some shit. I hate when you guys do this.
Kudos.
So, talking to him, I get what happened. And I witnessed the same thing when I was in Oklahoma. When you grow up down south and you're on that Bible Belt area, everybody's religious. And a lot of these people who are social religious do some really, really fucked up shit. Really messed up stuff. And so then all of a sudden, these people attribute that to the religion. And so I don't believe in God. God doesn't exist. And I'm like, I'm sorry that somebody hurt you in that manner, but don't let them dictate everything that you ever deal with. And you see that as a black person, that black people, their religion, that coon, his religion became hating black people. That was his religion. Just like I said, the white people, their religion is white supremacy. His religion was piss on any black person. They never did anything for me. And I don't know who made fun of him. I don't know who teased him. I don't know who made him feel inadequate. But then how does being around these white people that demean you make you feel more adequate than being around your own people.
Mm.
Those are some complicated conversations. There's some deep rooted hate or pain right there, and that's what we talk about when we say unresolved issue. When you say unresolved issue, not only do this person not admit that there was issue, but when you have unresolved issues, it causes you to do all kinds of other dumb shit. And fuck over your people is one of them. And, whenever you study Haiti, the first thing they did in Haiti when they started the Haitian Revolution, they got rid of the white sympathizers, the people that the black folks that sympathize with the white folks. They got rid of those. So if we're going to start a movement, we killing the sellouts, we killing the coons, because you can't afford to let them get in your way, because they will sell you out just for them to get a modicum of success, a small bit of success. And to him, success was going hunting with white folks. That means he made it. It don't matter if he didn't have a gun. It don't matter if he was
He's in the house. That means birds, he's in the house.
Like he was a retriever.
He's a house Negro in the house.
But the other thing is, I use the house Negro term way more at work than I should. But I work in a union shop, and when I say house Negro, I don't mean black people. I mean anybody that takes the side of management when you know good and damn well management don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah, but so, the thing is though, like it doesn't. You're wasting the word if you use it around white people because they don't really get the context.
Yes, they do, and that goes back to our talks about.
Yeah, but see, okay, but here's the thing though, man. Here's the thing though, like I gotta disagree with you on that, man, because hold on.
Yeah, I know you would.
When you use that word, if you're using that word and there's no black people in the room and you're speaking to like a room of white people, then that's a misuse of that word because you're. Yeah, bro.
Trust me, there is no other term in the lexicon that has the same twinge as house Negro. Because when you say house Negro, everybody looks at the same person. You know why?
I know. Listen,
they know it.
Listen. You're doing it for shock value. I get that.
Whoa! No. I'm referring to a specific individual, and when I say house Negro, doesn't mean they're black. It means that they're kissing ass to manage it. They're kissing ass to somebody above them and sitting on the rest of us. Everybody knows who the house Negro is. Mm-hmm. See, house Negro is a term that came up in the field. But this goes also back to when me and you were in high school and we read the Willie Lynch book. And that book talks about quadroons and light skin, dark skin, and all this other stuff. All these different things that we thought that white folks didn't notice about black people. Mm-hmm. That book makes it quite clear. Mm-hmm. Now, if that book was a real book from back in the day, or we don't know. It's always been talked about that book was a fake. But that book lets you know that white folks are fully aware of light skinned black people, dark skinned black people. They're aware of the differences because that's what they've used to pit us against each other and have us fighting each other and not fighting the power structure.
Okay, so hold up. So here's the thing though. So like I want to speak to regional issues of blackness in the workplace because I think this is something we need to discuss. So I've traveled for work to different parts of the U.S. and I've observed work culture in all these places, whether there's black people there or not. Now, for those of you who have not been out west, the further west you go, the fewer black people there are. And the culture of black people in the west tends to be tighter when you have fewer black people around because number one, when you go all the way out there, you don't see no black folks, and you see a black person, you will walk up to a person in a grocery store like, hey, man, how's it going? You just strike up a conversation. You won't do that in New York City. You won't do that in New York City because the environment, how hostile people are socially, and then there's so many black people that you don't really have the desire or need to do that. The same applies in the workplace. So there tends to be a little more solidarity in places where there are fewer black people, right? So then, you tend to look out for each other more. When you're in like, the Northeast or like in the Midwest where it's colder, like I said, in places where there's fewer black people, then it's tighter. But when there's a lot of black people, it's not really an issue unless you're in a job situation where there's a white person that is the boss. You know what I'm saying? But then again, let me make an adjustment to that because I've been on job sites in the Northeast where there's a lot of black people and there's a black person in charge, and there might be some young person come in, new on some doing some dumbass shit, wearing their clothes, looking like a clown, smelling like a nursery, a ganja nursery, and like somebody to say to him, "Hey man, like tighten it up. Like, do you want to keep this fucking job? Yes. Then stop acting like a fucking child. You know, pull up your pants. You know what I'm saying? Like all this bullshit. Like people will, they'll look after that young person. You know what I'm saying?
Well, okay, but here's something complicated about what you're saying. When I first began working at my job, been here 23 years, it wasn't the young folks smelling like weed. It was all the 45 and 50-year-old brothers from Chicago.
Oh
I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
no, again,
That's
I'm not
interesting.
dissing
That's
Chicago.
interesting. That's interesting. Go ahead though.
And so, I walk up in there and they tell me, they give me the rules, and they're like, hey, young blood, you know, don't mess with him, don't mess with her. And I'm like, man, my eyes are hurting. I'm getting contact high at work, standing next to this dude.
But hold up. Are these your subordinates?
No, we're all equals. We are all
Oh,
equals.
okay. Well,
we
hey,
it,
that's how you want to do it, motherfucker. That's how you do it then.
see that's how I was. That's what I said. that's what, but also again, railroad culture was like that back in the day. It was a culture of drug. It was a drug culture, and it's not like that anymore. But the ones that have
So
been
you're
there for
saying
over
there's
30,
more
40 years,
degenerates?
uh, I, I can't answer
I'll
that.
use the word. I don't give a fuck. There are more
Yeah, yeah, no,
degenerates.
it was a different culture. Yeah, these folks
There were
drank
trashy
and smoked.
fucking people working for the railroad. Okay.
Look, these motherfuckers was, yeah. It was like high school. I'm like, you guys are, like, and they were black, and so that's what messed with me because that goes back to, like, damn, I don't want that stereotype, and so I've learned to compartmentalize. I don't. People at work don't know what I do for fun. They don't know anything about me. They think they do, but I'm not
Oh,
big on that.
dude, there was this guy that I worked with once on a job, and he was institutionalized. He had been in prison so
Ooh,
long, he didn't know how to be civil, and he he would get in arguments with everybody over the smallest shit. And this motherfucker got fired because he almost got into a fist fight with this little short Latina woman. Yeah, and it was over
see,
something like minuscule. But
neither one would back down. Neither one backed down.
right, but he was older than her, and he did not have the common sense or maturity to look at this situation, to zoom out, to step back from the situation and say, okay, she is behaving like this, blah 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 blah. I'm older than her, so I should have the maturity to say, okay, fine. That's how you want to deal with it. Then we'll just take it to a manager. He didn't. This guy had been in prison so long, he didn't know how to step back from a situation to prevent himself from getting into trouble. He just wanted to escalate, escalate, escalate. So then there's that personality on job sites.
Yeah, I'll praise you. I'm gonna give
Mm-hmm.
an example.
I
Again,
it
Chicago.
Okay, but hold up. You told me a story about a person, we'll say a person that was so flamboyant and was so hard headed. She This person wound up losing their job because of somebody wouldn't ride in the car with them, and it was her job to pick up people. Even though you don't have to go into it. You don't have to go
Yeah,
into it. You don't you
look,
don't, you don't have to go into it. All I'm saying is there are examples of people being too extra on a job site, and it comes off as you being ignorant. So here's the thing. All right, so let's talk about ignorant motherfuckers real quick.
oh, I got stories. I got stories. Okay, I got one for you. So like I said again, I become a man. I work for a Fortune 500 company. I become a manager. I'm working my way up. There's only three black managers in our group. It's like 27 managers. Only three of us are black.
Hmm.
One of them, she is from Chicago. That's all I'm gonna tell you. She's from Chicago. So we're in a meeting, a planning meeting, and she asks a question, and she keep asking questions. And so all of a sudden, she says some crazy shit that makes absolutely no sense. And so our boss, our directors, are like, well, you try to go down the road. Like, no, that's not what I mean. I mean this, this, and this. And everybody looks at me as if I'm supposed to translate. So the whole room looks at me. I'm like, I'm not the only black person. You need to look at Pat because there's a woman named Pat behind me. Like, look at her because y'all looking at me as if I can translate what she's saying. And I don't speak gibberish. I don't speak stupidity. That's not ebonics. That's craziness. What she's talking is absolutely certifiable madness. And because y'all don't know what she's saying, you think I know what she's saying?
Oh
That's a
wow. So you're supposed to
yeah. They
translate
all
that
looked at me.
bullshit.
Yeah, they thought I was a nigga translator. Is what they thought. And I'm like, I don't speak. That's not ebonics. that, so I looked. There's one other black person. I looked at her. I said, how come they didn't look at you? She said, well, I was here. I've been a manager longer than you. So I'm like, okay. Well, I'm gonna explain it to you. I do not know what the hell she's saying. And like I said, um, she came from Chicago. That's all I can tell you. And so it's one of these things is that, like I said, when you're a black person, all of a sudden you speak for every black person, or they'll walk up to you and say that classic. I call this a permission slip. Well, my black friends think this, or most of my black friends, I'm like, shit, nigga, I'm black. I don't know what the hell my black friends think. It's like, remember we were kids, they was give us that green permission slip when you go to the zoo, basically saying that if the lion eats my kid, it's not the school's fault. Well, that's how it is whenever somebody says, well, my black friends, it's a permission slip because, you know, the next thing that comes out their mouth is going to be offensive. I guarantee it. Whatever it is going to be offensive. And you can't explain to these people, like, look, I am not your black opportunity. How about this? Has one of your white friends ever hooked you up on a blind date before? I've been on 2 blind dates,
No.
and I'm like, I had to ask him. I said, "Hey, bro, you know me for years. Does that seem like a chick I'd be interested in?" He's like, "Well, not really, but my wife knew her." I'm like, "Okay, you picked her because she was black. I need more than just being black to like turn me on, dude. You know what I'm saying?
So they
You
want
can't just pick
they put these two animals in a
black friends together."
cage and they want them to
Yeah,
mate.
basically, I got the cocker spaniel over here, and I got the Labrador over here, and they're drinking Labradoodle.
Oh
No, you
boy.
can't. Just because your friend is black doesn't mean you got 2 black friends. They're going to be good together. No, that's not how it works. You should at least know, like, hey, does she like wrestling? You know what I'm saying? Hey, does she go bird watching? Does she do any of my hobbies? And so that's what it means when you're black in the workplace. That I'm your opportunity to ask the black questions. No, I'm not. No, I'm a coworker. I am your equal. And the second that you recognize me as the equal, then a lot of this bullshit will disappear. But you know, would you ask another white person the shit you're about to ask me? Well, no, I wouldn't. That should tell you right fucking there you shouldn't be asking that motherfucking question. That should tell you right there you shouldn't be. I'm sorry, I lost it. Go ahead, sir. I apologize.
The we're here talking about, these jackasses that show up on jobs. I'll just cite one real quick. There was a person. This was in a law firm that I used to work for. Really nice law firm. They have, like, offices all around the world. And we're on like the 26th floor of the skyscraper. Blah 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 blah. All that shit. And this ignorant broad, she was a she was like an assistant supervisor. She was the man next to the man next to the goddamn man. And she wanted she wanted to usurp power so bad. She was so hungry for power, but she went about it the wrong way. And she would just walk through the office sometimes and just say ignorant ass shit like, I'm the baddest bitch. I'm like, stop. Stop doing that. Stop talking like that. Stop thinking like that. You are in a law firm right now. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why are you talking like that? Like, God damn it, you ignorant motherfucker, you. Like, yo, don't bring that hood ass shit into this environment. Yo, stupid ass brings us all down when you talk and say stupid shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had zero patience for that, and we would clash all the time. We would clash because her, the person who was directly over her, we were super cool, right? She was super cool. We would just chill and just talk all the time. You know what I mean? But she would tolerate her ignorant ass out of sympathy. But this chick was just, she would say ignorant stuff, she would do ignorant stuff, and just behave in the most stupidest way and the most petty way. Just saying petty things, trying to do petty stuff to piss me off. I'm like, and I wouldn't fall for it. And I would always, take the high road. I'm like, really? This is your ammunition? This is how you attacking me? You playing checkers. This is chess. This is how you coming at me? Really? For real? Come on now. Do better. Try harder.
I think one of the hardest things that, speaking of being black in the workplace, one of the times that being black in the workplace worked well, but it was complicated. I used to bounce at a strip club. It's a worldwide strip club. I used to bounce there. And that was one of the two guys, the one that owned it and the general manager, two of the best bosses I ever had. Just threw all kinds of money at me. And once, you know the story. One time a big old fight breaks out, and the only person that had my back was a guy that we grew up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a cook. But it was.
It's crazy. Like when you told me this story, I thought completely different about this guy because his reputation is different in childhood.
He grew up.
He grew up. He grew up and he matured.
Yeah, he grew up.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. He grew up.
I respected him a lot more when I heard this story.
It's a crazy story, and what the biggest frustrating thing?
There were guns involved, right?
There's no gun involved, but I beat up 2 or 3 different people. Mm-hmm. Here's my point when it comes to clashing the sabers and banging your chest.
Right.
That I'm working here and at a strip club, and there's very little. It's a high class strip club. It's a worldwide strip club, so they have rules, and if you follow the rules, usually things go pretty well. But this night, people didn't follow the rules, and all you hear these young guys talk about, if a fight breaks out, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and all these guys are
the staff is saying that.
Huh?
The staff is saying they're talking about they're just puffing their chest and they're just like trigger happy.
Yeah. And so the thing is, we're actually called doormen. So it's like 8 doormen. And
they just want to triangle choke a motherfucker. That's all.
No, that's the whole thing. Is everybody says what they'll do in an emergency, but then when an emergency happens, they piss themselves. Yep. So it's 2 separate clubs inside of one building, and I'm in another club. And I don't have my walkie-talkie. I usually have a walkie-talkie with an earpiece in, but it was so many people. Like I said, it was literally like 8 people working in 7 walkie-talkies. I didn't get one, so I didn't want one. I wanted to be off, not doing anything.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, you hear the DJ scream, "Fight on the main floor! Fight on the main floor!" So I run in there, and all these doormen run up, and it's actually 3 groups of people. It's 2 groups of people in the VIP, which are black, and then there's another group of people that are Mexican. But then the 2 guys fighting are white. So there's two guys fighting that are white, and they're beating up the head doorman. He's in the middle trying to break him up. They're whooping his ass, and the people in the VIP are about to come out the VIP and start fighting. The black people are about to start fighting the Mexicans. So all these so-called doormen and security guards just standing there looking. And like I said, when I run in there, the only person that had my back was the cook, and the cook is from our hood.
My neighbor, he grew up next door to me.
Next door, literally his next door neighbor. So I run up in there and I see them whooping up. I mean, they're whooping on the security guard. So I kick the security guard out the way, and then I kick the other guy, and then I put the other guy like in the rock bottom. I rock bottom him and put him in the arm bar. And all of a sudden, and when I do it, and that's when Little Bit says, "Hey man," he said, "them people parted like the Red Sea. Everybody sat back down and they cheered when they saw you beat up that one dude." So what I do is I beat him up, but I put him in an arm bar and hand him to the other doorman. I'm trying to have them save face, right?
Did you break his arm?
No, I didn't. But he'll find out why.
But he went limp though when you slapped that arm bar on.
Yeah. No, I had him down. He was a big dude. I had him down. And so what I did was I had the other doorman walk him out, so that way everybody can see the other doorman doing their job, and then it won't be like, okay, these guys are pussies because they just beat up one of my doormen, their head doorman. And so I go back to doing what I'm doing, but the problem was, again, nobody follows the rules. You're supposed to walk that guy to his car, make him get in his car, and leave the property, or walk him to
Were you just grappling? Or were you throwing hands too?
I didn't get it. I kicked. Like I said, I had to kick I kicked the other doorman out the way, and then I did a front kick to the other guy because I had to fight both guys. Mm-hmm. So when I kicked the other guy in the chest, I put the bigger guy in the arm bar and took him down. And so again, I'm thinking like, okay, you guys walk him to his car. I give them
instructions. A judo toss into an arm bar. That would have been sick.
It's not over yet. So so I'm like, okay, walk him to the car. Again, they don't do that. So I go back to doing what I was doing before. 15 minutes later, he was outside waiting for the other guy to come out. So I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? I get outside and they're beating the shit out the doorman. So
outside?
So I see the two guys. Yeah, outside. So I see the two guys fighting again. So this time I went for the other guy. Well, the other guy goes, it's me. I'm here. I'm a regular. So I said, okay, I won't whoop your ass. So I turn around to get the other guy, and he was already beating up.
Hold up, stop. You got to back up a little bit. So this guy with the regular, was he fighting when you ran up on him?
Yeah. He was. Those two guys were fighting.
So it's almost like he's saying Ali oxen free. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he submitted. He's like, he saw what I did to the guy inside.
Oh, but I'm gonna fuck up your homeboy though.
Oh no, he wasn't. He was like, look, dude. He's like, they're coming after me. They're coming after. They're coming. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I turn around, and he was lumping. the little guy was a paralegal. Then it was two big guys he was lumping. They were my doormen. I'm like, oh my God. So I said, cool. So I squared up with him. I pushed him all the way. I squared up with him, and I planted my foot. You know how they say you put out the cigarette, you turn your back foot, and I squared up, and I just let him have it, right? And this dude took my best punch, and it caught me off guard. So I'm like, oh my God, he took my best punch.
Where did it land? Where did it land?
Let me tell you. So Little came outside. Yeah. So he comes outside and says, hey man, he said, duct tape, why'd you knock out old girl? I said, what are you talking about? The reason I threw my best punch and it didn't drop him is because the other guy's girlfriend ran up to stop the fight, and I connected with her. I knocked the girlfriend out. So, oh man, it was so bad. I knocked this girl out, and I didn't know it because, like I said, when I had tunnel vision. So when I threw this punch, I just knew I was going for this dude's jaw, temple, left.
She got too close. She got too close.
She got hit. So when he didn't go down, that's when I started grappling with him again. I grappled, headbutt, knee, headbutt, took him down, and all of a sudden somebody taps me on my shoulder. He said, "It's the cops," because like I said, we have a cop on duty. He had been watching the whole thing. He's like, "Hey, let him go. I got it." So
I let him go. So when you Crocodile Dundee and motherfuckers headbutting and shit, like,
yeah, what about it?
It's making contact and it's like stunning them.
Oh yeah, he went down. Mm-hmm. So the cop tells me let him go. When the dude jumps up, he wanted some more. The cop hit him with the cop stun gun with the two metal barbs. He hit him with the two metal barbs. He went down, and so the cop like, "Hey, grab my phone at the car. Let me call for backup." So I felt so bad because, like I said, so when I get back inside, that's when old boy tells me that, "Hey man, you knocked the shit out that chick. Why'd you hit that girl like that?" Like, I felt so bad. But look, the moral of the story is this. The black person that I thought wouldn't have my back is the only one that had my back. He was there every time when leather was being thrown, he was there.
Respect.
And so
respect.
So like you were saying before, I do look for a black face. I get some of them might be sellouts, but I don't know. I just look for a black face. And when trouble happens, and I'm not saying there's not good white people. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, like I told you, those are two of the best bosses I ever had. The owner of that there's 32 locations worldwide. That was one of the best bosses I had, and then the general manager at that place was one of the best bosses I had. And they were not black, so that's not the issue. But when the shit hit that fan,
a black person helped you out.
Yeah, he was there. Nobody helped me out.
Representing the block. Representing that block.
But he came with hands. He didn't come. He was. It was really frustrating because all these other people had talked so much. What's going to happen? This happens. I'm gonna do this. I've been
He was
training
just
this. I've
throwing
been training that.
hands. That my dude. That's what's up.
And
So,
so it,
in closing, what I want to say is that began this conversation talking about a conformist and a nonconformist, and the conformist wanted to take the other black person who was not conforming and change her so that she, the conformist, could be more comfortable with her around. That speaks to a level of conditioning and the level of comfort she has with herself. The nonconformist was completely within her rights, doing her job, wearing her hair in a style that she thought was tasteful and appropriate for work. And when you really look at it and see it for what it was tasteful and appropriate for work. So,
look, I think one of the things that you're saying and that nobody realizes is that the conformists and the nonconformists are both right. But you need, as a black person, understand that be careful about letting your job define you. You're there to do a job and pay your bills and find. You need to sometimes find your wholeness someplace else. Find your
but you're
completeness
missing
someplace else.
something in this though. And with the point you're missing is no, the job should not define you. But
Exactly.
but the thing is this: you should not be defining yourself by Eurocentric beauty standards when it comes to appearance and love of self. So that's something that you have to go and work on. And you have to work on that decade old, that hundreds of years old trauma. And it translates to the workplace in the way you treat your coworkers and the way you allow yourself to be treated. So you got to ask yourself, what am I willing to put up with? Where are my limits? How much do I love myself? Do I love myself enough to come to work looking like a complete slob, smelling like drugs? You know, I mean, if you do, you run the risk of getting a charge, a possession charge. You, like I said, in the situation with the kid who came to work smelling like weed, you know, you can get even in a recreational state, you can get charged with possession. So
Oh yeah.
you're putting yourself in danger. So these come down to common sense situation and sometimes home training situations. But
But what I was saying, Roscoe, is something what you're saying is that don't let these European beauty standards be define you. What I'm saying is that both people are right, and but your job shouldn't define you. Your job shouldn't. Before there was a job, there was a you. You existed before this job
mhm,
existed. So you need to know who you are before you get there.
that's what
And
I'm
that's what
saying.
happens.
That's what I'm
Many of
saying.
these people don't have an identity, and that job gives them an identity. And that's when all of a sudden you get to sell out and house Negro syndrome. So as black folks, we got to
Entitlement.
exist.
It becomes entitlement, and you got to be careful
Yeah,
with that
yes,
entitlement because it's dangerous, and you start to
yes.
become something that you hate. So you got to
You,
constantly check yourself before you end up taking on coon Uncle Tom
you
attributes.
become you become the product and not the producer. Whenever you become the product and not the producer, then you're able to be manipulated, changed into anything, and you'll do anything to anybody just to get attention.
And then you
So
find yourself in a pandemic coronavirus situation where your ass ain't got no job, and you did
you
all
got
that bullshit
and,
for nothing.
and you ain't got no identity. And next thing you know, you're fucking committing suicide, or you're beating your wife, or you're doing some dumb shit. Look, the bottom line is this: you were black before you had a job, so you need to be a whole person when you walk in that motherfucking building, and you need to be a whole motherfucker when you walk out. Love y'all. Be safe. Holla.
I think that was well said. And on that note, I will say, know yourself, love yourself, always. Peace.